Arvind here, and I've been thinking I should blog for the last 4 years. And I decided I'm not going to wait any longer. I had my own reasons as to why I'd like to blog a little later. I thought maybe I need to get better equipment. I had all sorts of reasons, and that kept me, in the lurk for the last 4 years, and I didn't come up with a vlog at all. So I just decided tonight that I'm going to start off. In this episode, I just like to talk to you about what I like doing and why I do what I like. So right from my early days as an IT guy working with Hewlett Packard, I was always trying to do something that I liked or something that I was passionate about. And in those days, it was like making videos. And this passion about making videos and photography runs back to my college days, when we made the first video of a fest in the year 1999 or 2001 back in MS Ramaya. So one of my friends actually told me that you were quite a visionary because of the fact that you thought about making a video. I don't think I was a visionary, but I was very interested in making videos. So I had this little video camera which my mother bought from Singapore when we went on a family trip. And that video camera was like the most prized possession back then. My mother thought it was so expensive and she had to keep it really safe. We had just made 3 videos of all of us generally talking about and acting like, I'd say, monkeys in front of a camera, because that's the first time we were seeing ourselves on the TV. And it was a big thing back then. We didn't have phones, we didn't have cell phones which could record video. I still have those videos. I have them somewhere in there. We're like jumping, we're laughing. So that apart, that camera was so prized a possession that my mother kept it in the locker. She never let me take it out for anything, because we'd spent 27,000 and we had to pay a duty of some 3,000, and that was under the table. So that apart, we finally got that camera back here, and my mom was keeping it in her locker. And I thought, why not I just try using it for something? And usually 3 cassettes for just 3 videos for the entire lifetime of a camcorder was not really justified. Of course, those moments were priceless of us acting like monkeys, but just having that video all through my life would be a very boring thing. That a particular camera was something that I really valued too. So I just pulled it out of that big bag that it came in. I would wrap it up in a t-shirt, take it to my college, and a friend of mine called Neerab and I made the first fest video. And we were quite the entrepreneurs even back then. So we actually went to a couple of dance groups who were performing at that fest, and we told them we'll give them a complete video coverage of their performance. And they were quite kicked about it, because there were no cameras then. There were no phones with cameras, like absolutely nothing. You had that big fat Nokia 5510, which was just something that was used to probably make a call or kill someone. So that was the first experience with a proper video camera, prior to which I had a few hot shot cameras, which are the basic ones, which were point and shoot film cameras. And I've never used a digital, I've never used an analog camera in my earlier days. I have a couple of them now. I've still not shot film. I don't feel that it's a bad thing that I've not shot film. I think digital is what made me get into photography and do what I like doing today. But given a chance, I'm very, very inspired about shooting with film and doing the conversions. I've got some of these things here. I've got this little roll. This is a film positive. This is called a carousel, into which you put all these positives and watch all these pictures on a slide projector, which is a very old piece of technology that is used to project an image on your wall. I'm sure many of you might have seen these if you're millennial kids. As children, we have a lot of things that we want. For example, I never had a Hot Wheels car as a kid because back then it was quite expensive, and my parents thought that it was not really the most important thing that I needed. And I think they had a point there because Hot Wheels were quite expensive back then. Today it's probably just 100 rupees, or you could even get it for 60, 70 rupees. So back then my mother thought that I could probably learn skating. She bought me a pair of skates. She told me, don't buy a gun, you don't really need a gun. So I started skating. And she told me a gun would probably last for like a year or so, but these skates, they open up. And so you can actually pull them and slide them across and use them when you're grown up. And I think I can still use them, and they're a really nice pair of skates. So that way my parents were very clear about what I should be using, and they wouldn't want me to play with cars, or they actually told me that it's not really worth playing with those little cars. They were not required. To this day I remember my dad buying a little transistor. It's a do-it-yourself transistor. Back then we went to SP Road. We actually traveled by bus, went to SP Road, picked up this little blue transistor, which I still have. It's kept safely somewhere at home with all that ferrite rod, if you know what I'm talking about. And that particular transistor, with the help of one of our neighbors who was a electronics major, I kind of put these things together, and I got this transistor running. And the first time it made that little noise, or whatever, that interference, I was very excited. We put two batteries, and then I had a feeling of achievement. So that was the reason why I always had an undying urge to buy these little cars. And recently, when I was buying some cars for my son, I chanced upon these little Hot Wheels beauties in Reliance, the Reliance Fresh, and they were just priced at like 70 rupees, and I thought they're really cool and I should just buy a couple of them. And then now it's become like a collection, it's become a hobby. I've got around 200 of those. I put some of these other really nice cars, these ones, they've got great detailing. They have doors that open, and these things look pretty cool. And since I do a little bit of photography, I thought, why not use these things and try something. So I started doing miniatures. So miniatures is also an amazing thing to do. I've got a lot of them here. I'll just show them to you a little later. So miniatures also started as a hobby. So there are a lot of these things that we feel like doing and we keep procrastinating, thinking that we can do it later. I somehow feel that I'm very short on time. When I'm ideating or trying to do something is when I'm having my bath, because it's a lot of time lost. I'm doing something new and something different every day. So miniatures started as a hobby, converting these film slides into positives, or scanning them onto your computer and then doing these little edits. If I have a 65-year-old slide which was out of a little box which was closed, say 40 years back, and I'm opening it now after 40 years, after that person who shot them put them back in that box. Well, that might happen to me someday, because all my pictures might get opened up, might be opened by somebody else who I don't even know today, and that might be a very, very nostalgic moment for the person who's opening it, because he's going to look at all those images through my eyes, because I shot those images, and when they look at it through my eyes, it's quite a different experience, because you're looking at an entire time and period of life through the eyes of another person, and you never know. There's a lot of interest that is created when you do that. I know what you call it, but it's very interesting, and that's the reason why I do it. So that's another hobby that I'm following. Photography has always been a hobby, and that is something that I'll continue. But this is an amalgamation of both photography and probably miniatures. And photography is very closely related to restoration of slides. Why would I probably want to do all these things? I would say this period of my life has been more like the longest summer holidays of my life. And finally came this moment, and I'm 37. And luckily, I think I've done a bit of everything. Got my priorities in place as per Indian norms, and I'm married. I have a kid. He's 4.5. He's very naughty. But yeah, I just love the experience of having a child and looking after him. No regrets at all, believe me. It's a lot of fun looking after a child. A lot of responsibility too. But at this stage or at this juncture in life, when I'm like 37, why would I probably play with cars? I should probably be thinking about my future, probably do an MBA. Everybody has this thing when they're children, they probably want to do something, and that kind of carries on later in life. And it's important to work on it and ensure that you're happy. So at 37, if I thought that playing with cars was stupid and I'm not going to do it, then that would just die out as one of the things that I always wanted to do. So that's the reason why I pulled this up. I started doing it. And the reason why when you do something at 37 makes it a lot more interesting is because, one, you already are done with all your responsibilities. You've put things in place. Now is the time I need to do it. I can probably do things at a much professional level. If I'm looking at playing with cars, I might want to look at how playing with cars can get me money. So I might do a miniature. I might plan to do a complete miniature city, which is very, very customized, and something that only I am able to do. And it's a new market that I'm exploring. So why not? So that's one of the things I want to tell you. Scanning slides, a lot of people doing it, but then the entire experience of probably a shooting or looking at a place which is shot 60 years back and then comparing it with how the place looks right now is very, very interesting. We just had a little debate online, and I posted a picture, and I didn't know where the picture was clicked because I don't have complete records of the people who were like giving me hand-me-downs of these films. And I put them together, I scanned them, and when I actually put them out on the internet, because I have like the permissions to do it, and when I put them up on the internet, I'm just trying to think about when this was shot, what were things like back then. Things that really intrigue me are fashion. What were people wearing back then? What were things around when phones didn't exist? Electric poles, you have like chairs, you have furnishing, you have cars. The cars are something that really are very, very, very attractive when you look at in an old picture, because you know how time has actually passed by. You might see a car which was probably released 50 years ago. You can actually Google it and you'll see a similar car that's still available or has been restored. So cars give you a very distinctive, clear picture of what era this image was probably shot in. And this is what makes the entire process very, very, very interesting. And why did I decide to vlog? Because that's because I'm very inspired by a couple of people like Casey Neistat, who actually told me that just start with a problem statement when you start your vlog. Think about something that's like telling you why you probably did something. You have a problem statement. Talk about it. See how you overcame that problem. At the end of it, you could just leave it to interpretation. That's exactly what I'm going to do. So you guys can also come and start thinking about what you want to really do in life. I don't believe in that single line which is just follow your passions and everything will fall in place. It's a little stupid because you have to be a little careful. You just can't leave your IT job and next day decide that you want to be a writer or you want to direct a movie. You have to take safe steps. You have to be very careful. You got to, probably do a balancing act for a good amount of time, and then make the complete shift or the move. So I was a safe player, but I'm sure there are a lot of people out there who say just make the shift. If you're confident enough, you can do it. No harm. I'm sure you'll be very successful. I'm trying out something now. I don't even know if I'll be a 1 on 10, but then I'm going to give it a shot. There's nothing lost in giving it a shot and trying and seeing if that's going to work out for you. So that's more about why I do what I do, and that's something I wanted to share with you guys, and I've been able to successfully do that. That's it for now. I think you guys should try and ask yourself what you want to do, and if at least you're able to, just find out if you're able to do like 10% or 20% of what you really want to do. If there are those little things which you really want to do as a child and you've not done them and you think you want to do it now, it's never too late. So that's it for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this session, and I'm going to try out a couple of these sessions I'm planning to start a series called What's on My Table. It's going to be a very generic series. I have a lot of hobbies. There's something that suddenly comes in, probably shopping for some really nice things. So I can put all this into one series called What's on My Table. It could be miniatures. It could be something like the slide restoration that I'm doing, or anything interesting at all. So I hope you guys like this session, and I'm going to sign off now. We'll catch up soon on the next vlog. Thank you guys. Bye.